Mr. Moulton is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kazi, what is the size of China's debt?
We don't know.
What's your best guess?
Hundreds and hundreds and billions of dollars. I've had to be conservative. We fundamentally don't know because these are on various bank balance sheets. Obviously, that information these are state banks. We also how much of the debt just gets washed away under or under a rug. We don't know. There's a lot about China's this mountain of debt that they have, which we simply don't know. We can guess all day long, but we probably can't get at anything realistically.
Do we have any idea what their debt to GDP ratio is and whether it's getting better or worse?
China has a very serious problem when it comes to its companies being over-leveraged. There's just no question about that. State firms are incredibly over-leveraged. You've got this massive problems. Chinese banks have an immense amount of bad debt that they know for a fact will never get paid. They'll never get that money paid back. So they're very serious risks when you talk about any of that.
What about youth unemployment? I mean, here in the United States, back home in Massachusetts, restaurants can't hire enough people. I mean, we have historically low unemployment. What does unemployment look like in China?
Yeah, we're talking about something like 26% youth unemployment, 22% youth unemployment. It's a big issue. And by the way, it's tied into this whole problem where China's economy, the state firms being privileged, they're being given the loans, private firms being denied access to credit means they can create the jobs that all these hundreds of thousands of young graduates now need.
So it sounds like China's economy is in dire straits, and there's not a lot of hope on the horizon. I mean, what does Xi Jinping need to do to turn this around?
What they are trying to accomplish here is try to bring down leverage and try to transition the model so they move away from this build, high investment, high debt model. Will they succeed? That's a huge question. Where do we get in the next few years? We can't even, sort of say that. But yes, the old growth model has run out of road. The years of China being, 6-8% growth, it's over. In the next several years, you might be looking at China realistically growing closer to 2%, 1%. Numbers we consider great here, but are not great for China.
Now, Xi Jinping doesn't need to worry about a democratic election, but our experience here in the United States is that people sitting in power don't do too well when the economy is failing. It sounds like the economy is going to get worse. It sounds like youth unemployment is particularly high. We've heard similarly dire assessments of China's economy. And during our last hearing, we heard from a witness who painted this similarly dire picture. He also laid out some of the ways that we could make the situation even more acute. But then he also said that doing so would make the chances of Xi Jinping starting a war, quote, somewhat more likely. So competitiveness is coin of the realm today. It's in the title of our committee, but deterrence is key too. I mean, we don't want to have a great competitiveness strategy with China and find that it actually leads to increasing the likelihood of war. So how do we figure out a competitiveness strategy that also contributes to our strategy for deterrence?
I think the focus needs to be right now on figuring out where do we have American companies that are involved in China and create those national security red lines. That's a very, very important
So
project.
we all agree on the red lines. We all agree we've got lots of sticks. Where do we find the carrots? Where do we use our economic power, the leverage of American businesses, the fact that so many Chinese businessmen and women want to leave to actually push China in the right direction and away from war? And I'd be delighted to hear from the other witnesses as well. Ms. Lounsbury, do you have anything to add?
I think the main problem Xi Jinping is facing right now is the fact that the Laobaixing, the most of the people in China, are giving the party a D on the report card. And most recently, you saw I think it was a New York Times or Washington Post article on Jack Ma and the Ant Financial, 3-year investigation.
Right, I understand the situation.
Right, and so the small to medium-sized enterprises are strapped for cash. The local provinces are looking for money. There's no more real estate investment. So he could fix that.
But how do we push them in the right direction? Are there any carrots that we can offer? Or does it have to be a strategy?
The various estimates of where the debt, I'll answer your earlier question, where the debt level is between 3 to 5 times
We've got
of
5
GDP.
seconds left. Does anyone have a carrot Mr. Kazi.
I don't think we can really incentivize Xi Jinping to go one way or another, to be very honest with you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.